2025 didn't just challenge people, it broke things open. Here's the reality, and I think we're all facing this, is that you are still functioning, but you're feeling pretty fucking tired. If you are stepping into 2026 feeling quieter than usual, less excited, and like, to be honest, a little guarded, nothing is wrong with you. Welcome back to A Sharper Life. It has been a hot minute, and I thought what better way to come back with the podcast than doing one for the new year, 2026. Now, I didn't want to record a big, loud, new year, new you, here's all the health tips, and jump straight into everything, because that truthfully didn't feel honest. This episode today is for anyone who feels like last year took more out of you than you expected. I'm getting this sense of, for 2026, there's less excitement. People feel a little cautious. There's a little bit of a shutdown. Things feel slower. There's less momentum. It feels like people are kind of tiptoeing into this new year. And if you've seen it memes on Instagram, each year it's kind of like, this is going to be my year. I have seen none of those. Quite the opposite. It's like, everyone be quiet. Don't say anything. And here's the reality, and I think we're all facing this, is that you are still functioning, but you're feeling pretty fucking tired. And if you are stepping into 2026 feeling quieter than usual, less excited, and like, to be honest, a little guarded, nothing is wrong with you. 2025 didn't just challenge people, it broke things open. So by the end of this episode, I guarantee that you're going to feel more seen with whatever that you've gone through. You're going to feel confident that you're not alone in the challenges that you face, because it was a pretty tough year for a lot of people. You're going to gain some tips that I'll share to help you move through this next year with more clarity and momentum. And here's the big thing that I want you to take from this. Rather than going into, January, this new month, 2026 is not a reset year. This is a recovery year that quietly becomes a momentum year. So throughout this episode, I'm going to be giving you some personal stories and then explaining the difference of Year of the Snake. We went from Year of the Dragon 2024 to Year of the Snake to which this last year 2025, which just I think kicked everyone's ass. And we're going into Year of the Horse. And so what I want to do is explain what these mean rather than going into like New Year's resolutions, because I think collectively, from what I've seen personally in my own life, what I've seen with my clients, also what I see online, people are feeling pretty intense and overwhelmed. And so I think breaking down these Chinese zodiac, the horse, the snake, the dragon, it will give you some more clarity on why things were so challenging, but also what to look forward to. So here's the long short of it. 2025, it was the Year of the Snake, and I want you to listen to this and play it back. This hit me so big when I was thinking about this. The snake year was about shedding skin you didn't even know that you were wearing. I'm going to say that again. The snake year was about shedding skin you didn't even know that you were wearing. So this, happened with relationships, with beliefs, with thoughts, with actions. Imagine it's like walking and looking in front of a mirror and you're dressed completely differently than what you thought that you put on. And you're like, wait, what? That's That's not who I am. So you start taking things off. But with each layer that you take off, you start to feel a little vulnerable because now you don't have that t-shirt or sweatshirt covering you. And so that's a really nice, easy way to put what Year of the Snake was. It's all about shedding. Year of the Horse is all about learning how to move again in a body that feels different. So with that analogy, it's sort of like putting on all of these new clothes where you're like, this is the first time, these feel a little different. They feel kind of good. I feel like I've left some stuff behind, like some holey sweaters or, things that were ripped. And so now you're going forward and it might feel a little different, a little challenging. But here's the real deal. You don't need to understand astrology to get what I'm going to be talking about. No explanation on astrology is needed. This is going to be broken down so easily for you to make sense of kind of what the fuck happened in this last year, but also on the tail end of Year of the Dragon, which was 2024. And then really how to move forward with everything with 2026, because instead of this being the new year, new you, resolutions, let's jump to the table. As I said, I feel like everyone's kind of slowly and timidly walking in and being like, looking around and sort of like, what's gonna happen? So here is something that I want you to think about. If you don't feel excited about 2026, good. Because excitement comes after safety, not before. And I'm going to get more into the neuroscience because I think the neuroscience helps explain things a lot easier, but I'll get into this as to why you don't necessarily feel safe, why you're not, gung-ho gearing into 2026. And this is really having to do with the stress that occurs in your body for a long time. When stress is occurring over and over, and a lot of us felt it for different reasons, your brain it basically doesn't allow itself to come out of problem-solving mode. So the brain is in this problem-solving mode, which puts your body into the sympathetic. The sympathetic is fight or flight. This is literally survival mode. That sums up 2025 for a lot of us. It felt like survival mode. It was like one foot in front of the other, things not going right. And that is because on a nervous system level, your brain essentially your brain, which then is connected to your nervous system, couldn't handle the constant challenges that were being thrown at you. So here's the thing with Year of the Snake. As we're going through these challenges and various, whatever it was that occurred, whether it was a financial loss or a health scare, or in my case, it was moving out of my home, having to move into a sublet, having to find a new home, feeling so unstable. And really, when you take away the safety and security of your own home, the brain is constantly trying to pick up safety cues from around, literally to make you feel safe. And so this is what was happening, that our brain, in 2025, okay, let me back up for a second. I've told this to you, or I've explained it on different episodes, but your brain, it has a bunch of different parts. Your amygdala, which is the fear-based center, it's like a little almond shape. It's kind of in between your eyes, a little further back. Your amygdala becomes more active. When you are in stress for longer, your amygdala is getting triggered and activated more. This is why it is so important to focus on rest and sleep and actually slowing down. This is what people don't understand. Year of the Snake 2025, part of the reason that it felt so fucking hard is because we were trying to think and do actions to move our way through the challenges. But what this really meant was we needed to slow down. We needed to be in more stillness, because when we're in this constant go, go, go and trying to problem solve, your amygdala, the fear-based center, is getting activated more and more. So this means that your body is basically constantly in this sympathetic, which is putting you into survival, which is putting you into this fight or flight. And so everything is going to start feeling a little more unsafe. Now, the nervous system stays on high alert when your amygdala gets activated, and the body prioritizes safety over joy. So I want you to really think about this. For this last year, were you in a place of more safety and problem solving and seeing all the problems in front of you? Or were you in a state of, wow, like things are really joyful, life is going really well? For most of you, it's going to be the former. And that is because on the neuroscience level, the amygdala is getting activated, which is impacting yours. Your body goes into the sympathetic nervous system, which is fight or flight. You're then going to continue, it's this loop, this circle. And when we're in that, the body prioritizes safety over joy. So with that, this is why last year didn't just feel hard for so many of us. It felt personal, didn't it? I mean, for me, I'm sitting here being like, I moved out of my Notting Hill apartment after going through, like, I literally started January 1st, 2025, not knowing if I was going to have to move out of my home, which I hadn't even been there for 1 year. And this was after a divorce, which rocked my world. So I'm starting the first of the year being like, I don't feel safe. So then I personally went into a few month long kind of legal battle, which was not fun. And as I said, this is what's going to happen. Like, my body is not prioritizing joy, it's prioritizing safety. And so then also what happens is when your body is in that and it's activated in the sympathetic nervous system, everything, your whole, as I said, the SNS, sympathetic, you're going to start to get more inflamed. You're going to have more puffiness. You're going to have more digestion issues or skin irritations. You're going to notice that your skin is like a little less sparkly. You're going to feel more dull. You're not going to be sleeping as well. So if any of these resonate with you, you're not alone. We were kind of in a year of survival, but Year of the Snake was all about shedding and letting go of the things that no longer served you, beliefs, as I said, actions. And the key piece is a lot of these things we didn't even know that we were carrying around in our brain. So that's what I'm saying. It's like walking and like looking in a mirror and being like, wait, what is this jacket that I'm wearing? I didn't put this on. You did 10 years ago. You just didn't know you were wearing it. So that's why Year of the Snake, it was the whole thing. It's a lot more, it encouraged us in a brutal way to take some deep breaths, to go inward, which was not fun. But here's the deal. Now we're entering 2026, and on a nervous system level, after a super long season of stress, the nervous system doesn't rush forward. It's scanning because it doesn't feel safe. So your body is literally asking, is it safe now? And we can't be excited, and there's no joy. I don't want to say no joy, but there's less joy if we're not feeling safe. And this was a big thing that happened with me of not having a house. I was living in a sublet apartment for what ended up being 7 months. My stuff was in storage. It was a 2.5 month, process, crazy stressful process to find a new apartment. Now, while I'm going through that, as much as I wanted to do the podcast and be posting on Instagram, I didn't have the capacity. My brain was constantly on hypervigilance of what's going to happen next and dealing with this and that thing. And so this is just a reminder to you that if you're feeling a little hesitant about 2026, you're not alone. You're not the problem. It's all about recalibrating the nervous system to be slower, softer, and make it feel safe. So this is what I want you to take away. This is like a key tip. 2026, slower, softer, and more safe. Now, as I go on, this is going to be kind of counterintuitive because Year of the Horse is all about momentum, but we're going to get there. So here's the thing. Excitement and momentum only comes after safety. That's not mindset. That's physiology. So this is why I really want to bring in more of the science to help you understand why 2025 fucked us up so much, because it challenged our nervous system constantly. Then you add in, we had like, I don't know the numbers, so I'm going to make this up, but what felt like every month there was like some retrograde. At one point there were like 7 planets in retrograde, and it really started feeling like, okay, universe, what the fuck? Like, can we simmer it down now? But as I said, Year of the Snake was all about the shedding. Let's go back a minute though, because 2024 is where things really started. Now, I have a few clients who said 2024 was the worst year of their life so far. It was pretty brutal for me. That's where I was halfway through my marriage. It was failing miserably. I was fucking unhappy. My body was shutting down. I decided to do my separation, which led to divorce. So like, that was a pretty intense year. So Year of the Dragon, 2024. In simple terms, and here was the theme of it, high pressure, high expectations. So everything felt urgent. And I'll give you an example. I have a client who her husband got sick. He had cancer, I believe. And obviously things become very urgent. Decisions need to be, he's okay now. Thank God, everything is fine. But it was like the same thing in, like with my divorce. The separation went to the divorce and it felt so quick. So there was this high pressure, high expectation sort of urgency. Everything felt urgent in 2024. So this was a Year of the Dragon. Now, there was pressure to grow, to expand, to succeed, and prove yourself. Tell me if I'm wrong, but when you think back to 2024, does any of that resonate? It was sort of this go big or go home energy. And it was everywhere. 2024 really, it was the start of some pretty big things. But what that did to people is that it was constantly pushing us past our capacity. Now, bringing that back to the nervous system, if we're pushing and we're going for too much, too hard, too long, we're gonna start to burn out. And then what happens is you get a nervous system collapse. That's what many of you faced in 2025. Here's another key thing, 2024, and I raise my hand, I can attest to this. Raise your hand if you're with me. It was burnout masked as ambition because there was high pressure, high expectations. So there was a lot of burnout. People were feeling that we were all silently masking as go energy, ambition energy. And here's the last piece on it though. It was that feeling like no matter how much you did, it still wasn't enough. Do any of those resonate? That was 2024. The Year of the Dragon, it sounds powerful. Here's the thing, but power without rest creates pressure. And pressure eventually cracks things. So that leads us to Year of the Snake. Now, Year of the Snake was the themes uncertainty and internal transformation. So if 2024 was loud and big decisions and burnout because you were being ambitious, 2025 was quiet and it was fucking uncomfortable. So 2025, Year of the Snake, you've heard this. I'm not the first person to explain it, but I'm hopefully going to do it in a way that just makes it really simplified. It was all about shedding. The snake doesn't add, it removes. People lost jobs, they lost relationships, they lost identities, they lost habits. And even when the loss was necessary, ooh, it still hurt. And shedding doesn't feel empowering when it's happening. It makes you feel super exposed. And so that was really like, when you look back, I want you to ask yourself, what did I let go of? What habits did I stop doing? What friendships or relationships did I let go of? What things did I start saying no to? What boundaries did you start setting, even if they didn't feel good? So here's the deal. Snake energy is inward. It's slow. It's reflective. Like I want you to literally picture a snake shedding its skin. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow process. And here's a wild story, you guys. So I went to Mexico. When did I go? Early November. And on my last day, this is so wild. I didn't realize that retrograde was I just booked my ticket because it was the only points available at that time for a one direct flight. Fine. And I knew with the house move, like I knew that I needed a break. I needed to just calm my nervous system before jumping forward into the move and finding a place. So on my last day there, which just so happened to be, I didn't plan it, was 11/11. Now 11/11 is a big portal in astrology. I won't go into it, but I'm doing yoga in this sort of like barn up in, it's like built on stilts down in Tulum. And I'm doing this pose and I look over, no joke, there's a complete snakeskin in a tree just hanging there. And I'm like, what the frick? Like, what? It was so bizarre. We also had, I think, what was called like the beaver supermoon, the first or second night that I got there. So here we have like retrograde, this beaver supermoon, year of the snake. I'm shedding all of these things. Like it was one of these just moments where I'm like, huh. So the reason I say that though is because the snakeskin was fully intact. That does not happen overnight. The year of the snake, it asks you to go inward. It asks you to pause, to observe, to wait. And guess what? In today's society, especially after Year of the Dragon, which was this very like overambitious energy, it's really hard to slow down because it makes you feel uncomfortable. But that's really what it was. Like for people coming off of this dragon level pace, it felt like being stuck. And so 2025 was not about doing more. It wasn't about seeing more. And that's exhausting in a different way because it's teaching you and helping. It didn't feel like it in the moment, but it's helping you learn how to slow down. Because as I said before, if your nervous system is in this go, go, go mode, it's not going to feel safe. And if you don't feel safe, you cannot achieve your biggest dreams, your goals. I mean, I had a client this year that I worked with. She's been, it was over the last kind of like year. Her first round of IVF failed and she was miserable. I mean, I completely understand, devastated. So she hired me to come in and we worked on making her body feel safe. That is really what the key and the name of the game is going forward, you guys. So Year of the Snake, what it actually did to us, it removed anything that wasn't aligned anymore. It forced truths that we could no longer avoid. It created emotional fatigue and not just stress, like deep emotional fatigue. It made people quieter, more cautious, more inward. So the snake year was not about growth, it was about truth. And truth takes energy. But we are going into Year of the Horse, and it doesn't start yet. So everyone thinks new year, new you, or new me. January 1st, everything is reset. But let's be honest. Actually, it's funny. I did a poll on Instagram yesterday, and I said, tell me, did you work out today? Did you eat clean? Did you go out and have drinks? Because let's be honest, it's still the holidays. Or are you in the mindset of everything starts Monday, right? The new year starts January 5th, Monday. This is also a really interesting thing that Christmas and New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, both fell on a Wednesday. So it really kind of shook people. It was a little like discombobulating. Hello, you're the snake. Talk about shutting. You're like, where am I? I feel upward, sideways. Like you didn't know which way was up or down. So we're going into Year of the Horse, and I believe it starts, don't fully quote me on this, but I believe it starts February 29th. Here's why this is important. Because humans, I hate to say this, society has it wrong. January 1st is literally the worst time to start a new resolution and do the things. I get it. It's January. It's a new year. You want to start things off. But here's the reality. 90% of people's New Year's resolutions fail within the first month. 90%. There is a reason why. And part of this is because after this period of Christmas and holidays and madness and this and go, and especially after Year of the Snake, we need time to rest and digest and to kind of hibernate. Like, this is why animals go and like burrow themselves and bears hide. This is why the leaves fall off of the tree, because everything is in this kind of state of more stillness. It's the pause, it's the reflection. So my advice would be, instead of using January as the like full on gung-ho, full force, be slow, be gentle, because February 29th, I believe that's when Year of the Snake ends and Year of the Horse starts. You're going to want to have a safe nervous system to feel more regulated, because here is the theme for 2026. It's forward movement, it's freedom, and it's momentum returning. So the horse is about movement and kind of coming back online. And what I mean by that coming back online is, I don't mean like actually on social media and all of that, but literally like resetting your body, your nervous system. It's not force, it's not pressure, it's motion. This is the year that things will start to move again, but in a new way, because you are a new you. You shed a lot of things from this last year. So something that I would really like you to think about, journal, I've done a ton of this over the last few days, is writing down, and I may have already mentioned it, but really writing down, like, what did I let go of? Who am I now today? Who do I want to be going into this next year versus who I was in that last year? How did I handle crisis and challenges? How do I want to do that going forward? Because again, remember, Year of the Snake, why it was such a fucking hard year is because it made us go internal to really reflect and take off, as I said, as the example, like this jacket that you've been wearing for 10, 20 years that you didn't know you were wearing. So then you feel really vulnerable, and now is the time to slowly start building the momentum. So the horse doesn't explode like the dragon. It doesn't. And it doesn't strip like the snake. It moves forward steadily. That is the good news. 2026 is not going to be such an intense year. We also are finishing a 9-year cycle. I don't know quite as much about that. Would love to bring on an astrologist on this. But there's a lot of things coming to a close. And so this, when Year of the Horse, I think it's, February 19th maybe, or 26th. No, I think it's February 26th. When that starts, I want you to be ready. So think of this right now, this time period, as your resting period to come back full force, like you do with the spring equinox when everything starts to grow again. And so the horse energy, what this feels like in real life is you feel a quiet urge to move, to do, but it's slower, it's softer. Like think about a horse where it doesn't just like start galloping immediately. It starts trotting, right? And it gets its momentum and then it goes. So you don't need a full plan anymore. This is the year where all those resolutions and all the things that you're doing and thinking about, let them go. You just need to know you can't stay where you are, but the horse energy, it is not loud confidence. It's not. It is steady forward momentum. But this is where everything that you let go of in 2025, you're going to start to see that in the way that you act. Like even for me, I decided to do this podcast. I haven't recorded, well, I've recorded one all about my apartment moving situation and what the fuck happened there. But even for me, I don't have a table set up. I don't have a background. I'm literally on my armchair right now recording this. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start with the momentum. I'm just going to get back into it. I'm not going to focus on trying to make it perfect or have it totally outlined. I'm just going to sit here and talk to you. And actually, you guys, it feels pretty good to be sitting in my armchair. I have no other furniture in my apartment. But this is what I'm saying, is that 2026 is about that forward momentum and doing things differently. But this is why it can feel hesitant, not exciting, because we as a collective, we had a very stressful 2025. Some of us had a pretty intense 2024. And so broken down into more of the physiology of your body, I mean, it all happens from the neuroscience to the brain-body connection, is that your nervous system doesn't trust ease yet. That's why it doesn't feel super exciting. Like, yes, all the resolutions, nor should it. This is what I keep saying, and I want to remind you is be slow, be gentle, because the brain is looking and needing safety. And 2025 did not bring us much safety because it can't if it's stripping away the very things that made you feel safe in the first place. Again, it's taking away the things you were wearing that you didn't know, the beliefs, the thoughts, the patterns, the actions, the reactions. So if your brain isn't feeling safe because you're feeling a little vulnerable, we got to walk in and go a little slow. And so this is why people are feeling hopeful, but a little cautious. You might be seeing all the posts on Instagram about year of the horse and yes, and it's going to be different. And so I want to normalize whatever you're feeling right now. It is truth. A lot of crazy shit happened. But here's the number one thing. Hesitation. If you feel hesitant for 2026, or you're dipping your fingers in, dipping your toes in, you're slowly walking around like, how is it gonna be this year? Because I know, like, there's quite a few stories I've heard from people that within the first few days of January, like some crazy shit has happened for them. And like, that's because it's not just a new year, 2026. We're still in year of the snake, which is all about shedding and letting go of patterns. And as I said, so your hesitation is normal. It is not resistance. You haven't done anything wrong. You didn't have a more abnormally fucked up year than other people. We kind of as a collective are all like, what the fuck just happened? But here's the other thing. If you had a great year, amazing. That is because you were doing some of the inner work, the slowdown. Now, I'm sure you still had some challenges because none of us escaped 2025 unscathed. None of us did. So your body right now is seeking and asking for proof that it is safe. Again, this is my key point that I want you to think about. Instead of New Year's resolutions, instead of that, here's what I want you to do. I want you to name one area where, and so that, like, write these down in your phone or on a piece of paper. Name one area where you are moving slower now. Maybe it's the way you're talking. Maybe it's the way that you're walking or actions you're doing. Maybe it's if someone's triggering you and you're slowing down to be less reactive. Maybe it's slower mornings. But I want you to really put this in your mind, because this is how we bring safety back to the nervous system. This is how, when you bring safety back, you can start dreaming again. This is another key piece that, as I kind of said, we cannot have joy if the brain is in survival mode. And we were in survival mode in 2025. So if you want to start getting back into the resolutions and the manifesting, you cannot manifest from a place of fear. You cannot manifest if your body is in the sympathetic nervous system. You cannot and will stop dreaming because it doesn't feel safe if you're not feeling safe in the body. That is why my invitation to you is to start checking in. Where are you slowing down, especially for January? It's not about the do it if you want, but try January. That's not the goal. The goal is to bring more safety, slowness, and stability to your nervous system. Maybe that looks like saying no more. Maybe that means boundaries. Ooh, boundaries are a tough one. I'm going to do another episode on that. Maybe it's a slower way of thinking before jumping into action. I have a friend who recently got let go from a job, literally Christmas Day. Fuck. After being there for a while. Ugh. What a suspended and most likely let go. And I was explaining to my friend, instead of rushing and looking for jobs right now, I said, use this as an opportunity to pause, to allow yourself to kind of just take it in. What do you want to do? What do you want to do differently? What's no longer serving you? Allow yourself to rest before trying to go in with the momentum, because this is sort of like if we haven't shed everything that we needed to, and then the horse starts taking off, it's going to rip the rest of the skin off, and that's going to be hella painful. And so in this period, it is really about where can I slow down, because what this does on a neuroscience physiological level is it starts to bring more calmness to the body. So those deep breaths, that's what we're aiming for. Because if you can do that, when Year of the Horse starts, you're going to have the right momentum. But here's the last piece of it, and why the last 2 years felt so fucking hard for many of us. The Year of the Dragon asked us to rise over ambition, and we burnt ourselves out, and we went and we made fast decisions. And then the Year of the Snake asked us to let go. That's a lot for your nervous system. That combination is a lot for your nervous system to handle. And so many of you had a nervous system collapse where you stopped sleeping, you stopped dreaming, you gained weight, everything started feeling cloudy. That's not you doing something wrong. That is your nervous system collapsing because it feels too much. That's why I'm asking you and requesting and encouraging that as we enter this new month, my biggest tip is the slow down. Slow down to speed up. That's it. If you take nothing else from this podcast, this is it. Slow down to speed up, because Year of the Snake made us rise. And not year of the snake, year of the dragon. And then year of the snake made us kind of go inwards. And it makes your brain go a little bit like, wait, what? And so now we're going forward with year of the horse, with momentum. But if you don't have a calm, stable place within your nervous system and your brain, and you feel safe in your body is your home, oof, get ready, buckle up, because it's going to be a bumpy one otherwise. So here's the big thing that I want you to think about. As we enter 2026, which we're not in year of the horse yet, what it really means is that horse energy is not grind energy. It's not. It is forward motion. It's freedom. It's momentum through consistency, not force. So unlike year of the snake, or not year of the snake, 2024, year of the dragon, which was this over ambitious, we were kind of masking everything and going and blowing ourselves out, burning ourselves out. Year of the horse is momentum through consistency. So with all of that being said, here's what I want you to do. Another little tip is, instead of goals, I'm asking you to do something. I mean, still do your resolutions if you want, but we know research-wise they don't work. But instead, this does. So instead of goals, write down, what am I no longer willing to tolerate? This can be people, the way they talk to you, the thoughts you think, behaviors you do, things you eat, whatever it is, write it down. What am I no longer willing to tolerate? This is called your no more list. Where did I abandon myself last year? Oof, that's an interesting one. And we all have an answer. Where did I abandon myself last year? What can I do to feel safe and softer? And yes, men, this is for you too. What can I do to feel safer and softer in my body, especially when things feel unsafe? So if you just got let go from a job, or you can't find a job, or you got some bad news, or you're going through a rough time, what can you do to feel softer and safer in your body, especially in uncertainty and chaos? That is the key piece that is going to make you thrive in 2026. So here's the deal, you guys. Every January, we hear the same thing. We hear the same thing. New year, new year, new year, new year, new me, new you, new whatever, right? Like, we've all heard it. We've all said it. This year, and especially after the last couple of years, that phrase can feel a little exhausting or impossible, or just sounds like bullshit. You're like, I don't feel like a new me. But the reality is you are, because you've stripped back a lot, even if you don't necessarily see it. So what if the new you doesn't mean reinventing yourself? This last year was not one about reinventation. It was about going inwards, really deeply going inwards. What if this year, 2026, means stop dragging old survival patterns into this new season? I'm going to say that one again because it's kind of important. What if 2026 was simply about that you stop dragging old survival patterns, so when you don't feel safe, into this new season and this new year? You don't need a total reset. You need alignment. That is why I've been dropping the science in it to help you understand. We don't need this big reset, life change, all the things. No, you've been doing that the last 2 years. You need a reset. You need to make your body feel safe. The pause. The version of you that you pushed, you overextended, or stayed in things, in relationships, in work environments, or even thought patterns that drained you, that's not going to get you through this next chapter. So here's really what I want you to think about with this episode. And I've given some tips, I've given some journal prompts. This next year is not about proving things. This year is about chasing and going forward with momentum. Here's the key piece that is sustainable. And the only way to keep sustainable momentum is to have a regulated nervous system where you feel safe in your body. That's why I keep saying it, because our amygdala, our fear-based center, has been so activated over the last 2 years that we need to slow down, to reset, to then move forward. This year, guess what? I'm giving you permission. You don't need to become someone new. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to do these big, huge resolutions. You need to move forward as yourself, as the version who has let go of a lot of stuff, which I know you did from this last very tough year. And without the weight of these things, you will get to a place where you are no longer surviving, but you will start to thrive again. And that is what we have to look forward to in 2026. Thank goodness. So I would love to hear what you thought about this episode. As I said, I haven't recorded in a while, but I am back, baby. It's going to be from my little love seat here. It's going to be imperfect. We're going to talk. We're going to have some conversations. I'm going to share a bunch of tips and some exercises. I'm going to tell you what the fuck happened with my whole housing hunt. I'm going to tell you a lot of different things. But get comfortable, because if you're with me in this sharper corner of the internet, I'm grateful for you. And if you resonated with this episode, or you feel like anyone you know would benefit from listening to it, and I think we all really could, please send it and share it. And if you haven't subscribed on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please do so. Leave a 5-star review. Every review means the world. And fun thing, on YouTube, leave a comment, but you can also leave comments on things that you learned or moments that you liked about the podcast. You can do that directly on Spotify. So with that, welcome back to A Sharper Life. I'm so excited to be back with more momentum. I had to clear a lot over this last year, my goodness. But we're back, baby. And until next week, here's to A Sharper Life.